Hi guys, welcome to episode 9 of Cooking with Beth. We are doing a potluck picnic themed episode today. I was going to do our special grilling episode where I make the marinade and the side dishes and then we watch Corey grill the chicken. Unfortunately, the weather did not look like it was going to cooperate this week. We live in North Carolina. There's a lot of thunderstorms at this time of year. It pretty much was forecasted to thunderstorm all day until like yesterday, in which it said, oh, it'll be fine. But we had already planned for this. So hopefully next week we can be back with the grilling episode, which I'm really excited about. But I'm also really excited about this episode because we're going to be doing two of my favorite potluck picnic recipes. One, we're going to be making deviled eggs. That was an Angela request. And the other thing we're going to be making is my famous triple onion dip. If you've ever had like the French onion dip, like Dean's, or Corey really likes Hell's Good or whatever the brand is. This is so much better and really easy. Lawson's. Which isn't around here. They don't make French onion dip. That's like a different dip. In any case, this is way better than store-bought. I brought it to the Super Bowl. I made it lots of times. I brought it to a Super Bowl party at Corey's nephew's house, and it was like gone like this. But before we get cooking, I wanted to do a quick little tribute. Kenneth Obie, we found out today, has unfortunately passed, and is a very sad day for the gay romance community. I met Kenneth at GRL last year. He was a very kind man. He gave a lot of voice to some wonderful authors, stories, and characters, and he will be incredibly missed. It is a hard day for all of us. It's never easy when we lose somebody, but he was definitely someone that we couldn't afford to lose. So before we get going, I want to take just a moment of silence to remember Kenneth. If you ever met him, if you ever listened to one of his audiobooks, even if you just interacted with him on Facebook, it's a great moment just to think about him and his family that he leaves behind. Thank you so much for participating in that with me. We just took a moment of silence if you missed it. Kenneth Obie has passed. I know lots of authors who have had him do their audiobooks. Brittany Kernoyer, DJ Jameson. I met him at GRL. It was a really unfortunate news that we had today. So if I was doing so good there for a while. If ever anyone needs to talk, or just not just about this, but about anything, I want you guys to know that my Facebook Messenger inbox is always open. You can always email me off my website. I know there's a lot of hard things going on right now, and I try to keep like a positive spin on things and I guess be a good distraction. But if you ever want to talk or you ever feel like you're lonely or lost, I'm absolutely there for you. So I just wanted to put that out there. So now that we've gotten that done, let's start cooking. So the first thing we're going to do is to make the French onion dip, or the 3 onion dip. The main onion component is going to be caramelized onions. Now you can use any kind of onion for this: white, yellow, sweet, red. Red definitely adds a more pungent flavor because that's just a stronger onion. I really like sweet onions for this, so that can be, depending on your region, like a Walla Walla onion, which is where I used to live in Oregon. We got those. Now we get I'm telling you, these random like things that you do, I don't even understand. I think that if you're making gestures, they're important. I'm sorry. What was I saying? What's the Georgia onion? I can't remember the name.
You talking about Vidalia?
Vidalia. I suddenly realized why he was making the peace sign. It was actually a V for Vidalia. In any case, those are the ones we get now that we live in North Carolina. But any sweet onion will work really well here. If you don't have a sweet onion, that's absolutely not required. Any regular onion will do, like I said, anything you've got. The recipe specifically called for 2 large. These, I would consider this a small onion. So we're going to do 3 onions onions today, so we're gonna have to get these chopped up. Now, normally when you're chopping onions to like caramelize, like you're gonna make like French onion soup or something, you wanna put them into slices. But that is not what we're doing today. We want to do dice. Because then we don't have to slice it again after it's already caramelized to go into our dip, because you don't want long onion strings in your dip. That's just kind of unattractive and hard to eat. So this is probably going to take some time. I know this is what you guys all wait for, watching me make a fool out of myself and struggle through doing basic kitchen tasks. I swear to God, I managed to cook most nights of the week without any of these problems. Mostly.
You want your heat?
Oh yes, I should probably preheat the pan. We are gonna put a little bit of butter in. A couple tablespoons of butter and a couple tablespoons of olive oil. You definitely want this to be kind of a wetter pan. That sounded weird. And we want, as Rachel Ray would say, we want the pan to be ready, waiting on us instead of us waiting on the pan. We've been watching a lot of episodes of Rachel Ray. I found out a way to watch them on the Food Network app, and she has 811 episodes. I don't know how she's done it for so long. I can not even do it for like 8 episodes. So kudos to Rachel Ray. I totally did this wrong. I cut both sides off. I suck today, guys. We're all distracted. This is technically my week off of actual writing books. You know, I do other things, business parts of, you know, other random stuff, catching up on stuff, doing some admin work, but this is like the week off where a book is at the beta reader, and I try to give myself some time and not immediately jump into writing a new book. It's always, especially because the book that I'm going to be starting on Monday is the first food truck book, and that's not just starting a new book. That's like starting a whole new series and a whole new world, and I have a ton of characters to name and things to figure out. So I like to try to take my time and figure that out, because things usually come to me better when I have the space. I give myself the space. So technically it was not really a week off, but it kind of was. Actually, I have been working on, speaking of food, I have been working on some extras for the Kitchen Gods box set, which will be coming out in July. And I just finished one today that's like really cute. I thought it was really cute anyway. But that will be, there will be at least like 20 to 25,000 words of extra bonus scenes and stuff that I'm writing for the box set. So I'm really excited about that. There's one that you guys have already read if you were in the group, that was Kean and Bastion's wedding, but there's going to be way more. So I'm super excited about that. I got the cover from Sam, and she did an amazing job. Of course, she did an amazing job on all those covers. What? This had a weird like thing on it. Whatever that is.
Yeah, I was looking at the middle too.
It's fine. It's all fine. I have seemingly gotten over my fear of cutting myself on live television. That's not good. We don't want that part. Like I said, you definitely want to chop these pretty fine, because you do not want to have big onion strings coming off your dip. That's not fun for anybody. And this seems like a lot of onion. It really does. But onion is one of those things that like cooks down like crazy. I may actually do half of this one. It's actually, it was a lot more than I thought it would be. Also, this dip is awesome. If you're taking it to a big gathering, make sure you double it, because it will go fast. And while I'm one of those people, I'm a purist, I really like to eat this with just chips, like plain potato chips. It's delicious with crudité, like carrots, celery sticks, if you like that kind of thing. Tomato, baby tomatoes, grape tomatoes. I brought a whole platter. Like, I made a huge double batch of this for the Super Bowl, and I had a whole platter of vegetables, and I also had a big bag of chips, and it like all went very quickly. See, that's plenty. But this will cook down. So we're just gonna get this on the heat. Where did I put that thing? There it is. Now you want this to be like medium low. We do not want this to cook too quickly. So the key with caramelized onions is time. Regular caramelized onions can take a long time. Like, we're talking like 45 minutes. We're going to do a couple of tricks to speed it up a little. We're going to add a little salt because salt draws out liquid. And we're also going to add a little sugar. So make sure that you have enough olive oil and butter in the pan, that everything seems kind of coated in those, because you do not want your onions to burn. I'm at like medium low, and we're going to check these every once in a while we make the deviled eggs. I'm going to salt and pepper, and then we'll add some other seasonings and some garlic when they're almost ready to go.
What about the sugar?
Oh, the sugar, yes. So one of the things that helps it go faster is if you add a little sugar. Like, for example, if you have a non-sweet onion, you can actually add more than the sugar than I call for in the recipe. And that'll help kind of emulate the sweetness. A lot of people are going to say, oh no, how can you put sugar? This is a savory dish. And I'm like, yes, it is. But the onions are going to get really sweet. And we're going to have enough savory things in the actual dip part that it won't seem sweet. And it'll help, the sugar will help accelerate our caramelization. So we're just going to kind of flatten this out into one like thin layer. And we're just going to let it go for a little bit. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make our deviled eggs. Now, deviled eggs are like the easiest thing in the universe. This is basically my grandmother's recipe. You can do any kind of deviled egg. There's like, I don't know, saw this Food Network thing that was once like 50 different deviled eggs. I'm a deviled egg purist. I do not want weird shit in my deviled eggs. I don't want guacamole. I don't want corn. I don't want Caesar dressing. I don't want any of that stuff. I want a deviled egg.
Pickles?
Pickles, definitely no pickles. Some people really like relish in their deviled eggs. I am not one of those people. I don't like pickles. So this is a very, very basic recipe. If you feel like you want to jazz it up with some other things, just don't tell me. I don't want to know. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to basically take these are boiled eggs. There's 1,000 different ways people say you're supposed to boil an egg. I'm not going to get into that. If you don't know how to boil an egg, just Google it. Here's a piece of onion peel here. So these have just been boiled, cooled, peeled, and now we're going to basically slice them in half and remove the yolk. Keep an eye on that. Okay. So the recipe calls for technically 6. I always usually make 7 because, one, you can never have too many deviled eggs. Second off, one of them always ends up looking like utter shit. And so you have to get rid of the white because it just doesn't look good.
That goes with a question about, do you have a secret to peeling them without messing up the egg?
As you can see by the way mine look like absolute hell, no. That would be a no. I have heard a lot of good people say that there's a lot of things. I have heard a rumor that people that cook eggs in their Instant Pots do not have a problem. I do not know if that's true. I have never cooked boiled eggs in my Instant Pot. But all we're doing right now is we're basically separating the yolk from the white. And you know what? If your eggs look like hell because you peeled them really poorly or they were having trouble, it's fine. You know, the thing about deviled eggs is that, like, you make what you feel is like a lot of deviled eggs and they just disappear. People will eat them, it doesn't matter what they look like, in my experience. Whenever I make deviled eggs for my family, I always have to make like 3 times as many. Corey is also a deviled egg machine. I guarantee you, 5 minutes after this is over, half of these will be gone. Okay, so now we've separated. That looks fine. They're just coming, it's like the temperature's perfect. It just takes time. That's the thing about onions, is like, don't go away and leave them for like, go do something else. Keep an eye on them. You don't want them to burn. But they do take time. Even this method is gonna take some time. So that's why we're making our deviled eggs, which is like a super easy recipe. I think, in my experience, the absolute secret to my really good deviled eggs is I like to really fluff and kind of aerate the yolk. The best thing to do with that is a fork. If you have an enormous batch, you could use a potato masher. This is not really enough to do that. I'm just going to use the fork. But the fork is really the key. This is really like the only hard part of this entire recipe, because I mean, boiling eggs is not difficult. Putting this stuff in the yolks and then putting the mixture into the whites is not difficult. So if you can use a fork as a masher, you're set. Okay, so all I'm doing is like, first I'm kind of crushing up the yolks. That's the other thing I wanted to mention. This is not the time to make a soft boiled egg, okay? It needs to be completely cooked through. If you have any damp, wet parts in the yolk, it's gonna get like gummy, and it will not properly aerate throughout the dressing that you're gonna make. That's not a good thing. So, I know I said I wasn't gonna tell you, but the way I make my boiled eggs is I just put saucepan, put the eggs in, water, cold water, just covering the eggs, on the stove at like medium, and I put a lid on until they boil, and then I turn it down, way down, till it's just simmering, and I time it for 7 minutes, and then I take it off and put cold water over the top, till the water's cooled. That is the secret. I'm sure someone else out there has a better secret. So now I'm just actually breaking up like any of the bigger chunks, but I think we're almost there. But a lot of people don't take the time to do this properly, and I guarantee you their deviled eggs are not as good as mine. These are getting nice and soft and kind of saucy. But the idea with caramelized onions is you don't want to just take them until they're soft. You want some color, because that is where you're going to get flavor. Okay, so now this is what we look like, kind of. You can keep going until like every little chunk is off, but the thing about this is this stuff is a little bit damp, so it will kind of tend to cling together, so don't get too obsessive with it. That's what I'm trying to say. The theme of the episode, mayonnaise. Also, for the love of all that's holy, do not use Miracle Whip in this. Actually, you can, just don't tell me. Both of the recipes today are kind of, I did put some general measurements in the recipes that are posted to the link at the top. This is one of those things where you like, try it. But you put a little bit of everything in, and then you try it, and you figure out what it needs. So I put some mayonnaise in. I'm going to put some lemon juice in. The thing I really like to put in my deviled eggs is Grey Poupon mustard. I don't like yellow mustard. The thing I like about Grey Poupon, and I probably mentioned this, I didn't get a spoon, is that it has all the really great flavors in it already. It has a little bit of garlic, it has a little bit of white wine, it has a little bit of lemon juice. It's like shortcut flavor. I mean, salt and pepper. If you really wanted to get fancy, like for me, getting fancy with deviled eggs is like adding a little bit of dried dill or something. I really am a purist here. So then we're gonna mix this up, and we're gonna try it. And I'm kind of whipping it, like I said. You want to have it to be kind of light and fluffy. You do not want it to be, the worst thing about deviled eggs is when they feel like dense. See this? And it's this beautiful, like, butter yellow color. This is a great way to get the rest of the lumps out. You're never going to get all the lumps out. Don't even make an attempt. It's just not worth it. But if you can get most of them out, that's really good. Beginning to really get there here. Okay, let's try this.
Guarantee it needs salt.
Eggs always need salt, but you don't want to put too much in, because then if you put too much in, what are you going to do? You have to make more eggs. That's a huge pain in the ass. Actually, I think I'm going to add a little more mayonnaise too, because I hate these squeeze bottles. It's a little lemony. You got to be careful, because we've added lemon juice and we've added the Grey Poupon, which has lemon in it. So you got to be kind of careful. I like a lemony deviled egg though. So
You got to be careful with the mayo too, or it gets too wet.
yes, too. Oh, those are so good. Time for the third trick of the day. Okay, you know how sometimes it's a pain in the ass to like take the spoon and scoop it out, and it gets stuck, and you're like trying to like use your finger to get the stuff out of here? Don't bother. It's just not worth the effort. Okay. Let's give ourselves a little room to work.
You got a spatula too?
I don't need a spatula.
You will.
Oh, I know I won't. Well, I do have a spatula. I have several. I have a variety of spatulas. Okay, now this is all we're going to do. Oh my God, it's like the easiest thing ever. And you thought that, and this is an extra small one, because it like, ooh. So I like to go through and put a little bit in each one first. We're going to end up with probably extra. But you want to make sure you don't overfill, because then the problem is then you have to start taking away. And that's a huge pain in the ass. Don't do that. We're definitely going to have extra. Probably because I put too much mayonnaise in this. It's a little wet, but it'll firm up in the fridge. You definitely want to refrigerate these before you eat them, though that will probably not be happening with this batch. Oh, baby, don't do that. I love you. Don't commit suicide. Okay, we're gonna put a little extra, because barely filled deviled eggs are just not even worth having.
You have a comment about using the leftovers to put on a bagel.
That would be good. Whose comment was that? Was that Angela?
No, Bert.
That would work too. This stuff is pretty much good in any form.
Angela said spoon.
Yes, she did. Okay, so the final touch. We're not going to sprinkle cayenne pepper accidentally on these. They're not deviled eggs unless you sprinkle paprika on top. It's a rule. I'm saying it. It doesn't work. But make sure your lid's on properly, because you just want a little sprinkle. It just adds. Some people put paprika in the mixture. I don't like that. I like it on top because it makes it pretty. So, deviled eggs. Was that not so easy? That took me like 5 minutes. These aren't even done yet. But I think we are going to come put the garlic in here. Corey, if you want to come around so you can start to see some of the color here. I'm going to turn it up just a hair. So as you can see, we're starting to get some color. I'm going to put the garlic in. I'm also going to put some thyme in. That's optional. You do not have to do that. I happen to have some fresh thyme because I used it for a couple recipes last week. So I happen to have some. And thyme is actually, fresh thyme is one of my favorite things. Look at the size of this garlic clove. That thing is massive. Fresh thyme is one of my favorite things to put in, like French onion soup. Makes it really good.
So paprika question, smoked?
You can do smoked.
Sweet.
I'm a purist. I like the sweet one. I also have smoked paprika, and it works great in a lot of things. You could use it on your eggs. Like, for example, if you wanted to mess them up by adding, like, bacon or something, which I don't know about it if you did.
What about cilantro?
Britt totally asked about that cilantro. Please do not put cilantro in here. I like cilantro, and I don't want cilantro in my deviled eggs. But the smokiness of the bacon and the smokiness of the smoked paprika might really complement each other. That's what I'll say about that. But if you really like the smoky flavor, then go for it. But I wouldn't. So thyme is a really cool little herb. If you've never seen fresh thyme, that's what it looks like. Just hold it at the top and pull against the grain of the leaf and have it totally snap off. But most of the leaves should just come off, leaving the stem. And we're just going to like sprinkle those in here. Let me see if I can do it with a better one. Here's a good one. And it broke off again. But you do not want to put these stems in. They're not good. You don't want to eat them.
Good.
And you don't have to put a lot in. And if you had dry thyme, you could use that too. This is optional. Like I said, I just really like thyme. And also thyme. Really like loose stems, they keep breaking.
Hey, at least you didn't do like Rachel's dad and chop them up.
Yeah, that's true. Woo! You don't get to go in there, bub. Okay. If you're putting dry in, I would put like a scant quarter teaspoon. I would not put a lot. Thyme is a strong flavor. But as you can see, this is starting to get some color here. Did you see that? Also starting to get like a mite dry. I might add a little bit more extra virgin olive oil here, just to make sure. If it gets too wet, it's going to start to, or too dry, it'll start to burn, and we don't want that. But if you saw it at the beginning, you probably couldn't have seen it at the beginning. We're over here, but this had a lot of liquid in the bottom after I put the salt and the sugar in, and that's pretty much all evaporated now. So don't panic if you feel like your onions are getting really watery. It will clear out. So we're just going to continue leaving this for another couple minutes. We're going to make the dip part of the dip. It goes right there. I bet you that someone is going to probably end up stealing one of those at some point. Okay, so this is also super, super easy. We're going to start with some cream cheese. Room temperature, softened cream cheese. You can put it in the microwave for a few seconds. Obviously, you want to do it after you've taken it off the metallic wrapper. I don't know if that's ever happened to anyone before. Not me. I would never do that. Also managed to get it out of the wrapper. It's a challenge. We got there. So we're going to start with, this is another one of those things we're going to taste the base, and if we need to add a little bit more of one thing or a little bit more of another, everyone has a different thing that they really like about dip. We're just going to make sure that it's to our taste.
Well, I got another question. I think
Yes.
this was for the onions. What about chorizo?
Chorizo and the French onion dip. Chorizo is a really strong flavor. You could. I think
it's a follow-up to the earlier one about the cilantro.
Oh, I'm like, chorizo is a really strong flavor. I don't know if I would put that in there. So we started with 4 ounces. This is an 8-ounce container. This is 4 ounces. We're also going to put in sour cream. And I get to get a container out of the fridge. That makes me happy. Anyone else feel just like a real sense of accomplishment when you manage to finish a container in the fridge and suddenly you have a little bit of extra room that you didn't have before? No, just me? Okay.
I guess it depends on how empty the fridge is.
Our fridge is not usually very empty.
There was a time in like March or April where it got empty.
That was also when it was also really full at points.
Yes. It was one extreme or the other.
Yeah. Okay.
So how much sour cream is that?
About a cup. I like making a lot of this dip. Okay. Then we're going to put in mayonnaise. Oh. The top almost came off. That would have been really bad. And again, please do not use Miracle Whip. We're talking about mayonnaise. I prefer Hellmann's or Best Foods if you're on the other side of the country. Yes, it's all messed up. Corey keeps looking at me like, you ruined the bottle. And we're just going to kind of mix these together. This is why you want the room temperature cream cheese. I mean, you could always get your hand mixer out and do this, but Jesus Christ, why would you want to do that?
Because you'd want it on the walls.
I want it on the walls? I
If
mean,
you
I
use a
really
hand
like this dip, but I don't like it that
If you use a hand
much.
mixer, that's where it's going to end up.
I would obviously be using a bigger container. Okay, we're getting some good color here. This is coming along really nice.
Give a vote for homemade mayo versus...
Oh my God, who has time to make homemade mayo? Not me. If you have the inclination and the time and the energy, go ahead. I really like Best Foods, or Hellmann's now, I guess. Okay, so we've gotten most of our lumps out of the sour cream, or the cream cheese. Everything's kind of incorporated. We're going to add a couple of, I don't remember how much I said, maybe a tablespoon of Worcestershire. Like I said, we're just going to like eyeball it, and then we're going to add more if we need more. Salt. I like to add a little cayenne to mine. I don't like things super spicy, but I think it adds a really nice dimension of flavor that works really well with the Worcestershire. So I add a little bit. It's absolutely optional. You do not need to add it. It is not required.
Yeah, I would have to agree with the food processor washing afterwards, regardless of what you made, but making mayo.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
That would suck.
Corey hates the food processor from the perspective of he does not like washing it after. Even the small little chopper that I have a big one and a small one. It's a pain.
It's the blade that's scary.
It is scary. It's very sharp. Okay, we're getting really close. This needs another couple minutes. I'm going to turn it up a little. What?
Just comment about Worcestershire.
Yeah, I said it correctly this time. Unlike Guy, who says it a million different ways, all incorrect. Okay. I think I'm going to put a little lemon juice in here too. I think the lemon juice has a really nice freshness that counteracts the Worcestershire. The cream cheese also adds a really nice element of kind of a tang, and so does the sour cream. Okay. Now, I said this was 3 onion dip. So the first onions, obviously those. Second onions are going to be our green onions, which I'm going to chop now.
I missed it. Did you taste that?
Excuse me. Now we do have some salt in those onions, so you don't want to over salt. I also think it could probably use a little bit more mayo. When in doubt, add mayonnaise. It's my life motto right there. Me and Tyler Florence both really love mayonnaise. He talks about it on his show. He's also from the South, so I figure I moved to the right place.
Cookies? You said when in doubt, add mayo.
Probably not to cookies.
Well, then...
Now we can't do the final taste and make sure this is right until we have all the onions in, but this is just a preliminary. And you can absolutely follow the recipe that's on the website, and I'm sure that it would be delicious that way. But you know, I also really like encouraging people to taste test things and make it something that you would like. I'm not going to come to your kitchen and track you down and be like, oh my God, you didn't do it exactly the way I told you to do it.
There's a chocolate mayonnaise cake. Pass.
That's good. I probably will need more salt eventually. And you also want to make sure you do not want this to be too hot because your garlic will burn. And burned garlic is a really sad thing. So I'm still on medium low here. Don't think, I'm going to make this go twice as fast and jack up the heat, because then you'll end up with burned garlic and burned onions, and that's just really sad. Caramelization of onions, if you've ever made French onion soup, it takes a long time because it develops flavor. So these are some really big fatty green onions, so I'm going to actually slice them in half, because I don't want anyone, because this is the raw onion flavor in here. I don't want anyone getting a really big chunk of raw onion. That's just not fun. So I like to slice mine in half and then dice. And this adds a really nice fresh component too that people don't usually expect in French onion dip. And it also adds, if you use some of the green parts, it adds a really pretty color. Ah, we lost one man down. We have a pretty clean floor. I should have brought that food mover thing over here.
Still over there.
It's Corey's goal in life to get me to use this as much as possible. Mainly because he doesn't like cleaning the floor. We did get one of those robot vacuums though, and it's doing a really good job.
I don't think it would handle an onion too well.
No, I don't think it would either. Okay, so the third onion piece is going to be chives. Chives. This is the right. It's looking good. It's fine. It's good. We're almost there. Okay, so chives. Chives are really nifty. Kind of a light onion, mild onion flavor. Not nearly as sharp as a green onion.
What about using dried chives?
You can use dried chives. The thing about dried chives in a dip, I would definitely make sure it refrigerates and is going to sit there in the dried chives in the dip for a good couple hours at least, because otherwise they can just not really reconstitute and they can get kind of chewy. That's not something you want, but you can always use dried chives. If you're going to use fresh, the best thing to do is don't chop them. Use scissors and snip them. So I think that everybody should have a really good pair of kitchen shears. These came with my Shun set, so they're a little better than good kitchen shears. But you can get a really great pair on Amazon for 15 bucks. And they should, if you have kitchen shears, they should always break apart, and you can be able to put them in the dishwasher. So, highly recommend. So we're just going to take these, and we're just going to snip them over our dip. And we're going to try not to have them fly everywhere. Corey will be finding pieces of chives for like the next 10 years. Kind of like those tomato pieces that he found all over our house in Oregon. And if you don't like chives, don't put chives in. If you don't like green onions, don't put green onions in. This is good with just the caramelized onions. If you can't find chives, no big deal. And like I said, this also adds a really nice color too. Okay. I think we're good. This is just about perfect. Now remember, this is one of those situations where color equals flavor. So you can see how those have gotten really nice and caramelized. You could take them further, but I don't want to in this particular situation. That's not what we're going to do. We're going to mix this up and then we're going to add the onions. Now because those onions are hot, did I turn the oven off? Yes. You definitely want to refrigerate this for a little bit of time. Like a couple hours is best to kind of let the flavors sort of meld. Okay. This is a surprisingly heavy pan. And I used a non-stick pan here, but you could absolutely not, you don't have to use a non-stick pan. Okay, so now we're just going to mix this in, and then we are going to test the flavoring again. The other thing I'm going to recommend is after you let this refrigerate for some time, taste it again, because after the flavors have gotten time to kind of develop and come together, you may notice that you need more salt, or you need a little bit more cayenne, or you need to freshen it up, so you add a little bit more lemon juice, or you need a little bit more depth of flavor, so you add more Worcestershire. It's really just depends on how this just all comes together. So I'm going to taste it. It does need more salt. Because those are sweet onions, it definitely probably needs more salt.
Is that more cayenne?
Yeah, I added more cayenne too. A little bit more Worcestershire. And I'm going to add a little more lemon juice. You could obviously use fresh lemon juice. I'm trying to get rid of that too. But because you can see it was hot, you can see that it's kind of gotten really liquidy. After you refrigerate this for a little bit and chill it, it will not be this liquidy. It will be dip consistency, perfect for crudité or chips. I guarantee you, if you make this, this whole thing will be gone. I made one that was like twice this big for Super Bowl. Do you remember, Corey? And it was gone. I was disappointed. I went to the buffet table and it was like empty. And I was like, I didn't have any to take home? Dang it. Because isn't that sometimes what you make with a potluck is you think, oh, I'm going to make an extra big version of this, and so then I'll have some to take home, and then everyone else thinks, oh, that was really good. I'm going to take extra of that. And then there's none left, and it's really sad. Maybe that's just me. Cayenne is one of those things that develops too. I'm not going to add any more. They don't get too spicy. But that's really good. And it will get better. So this is what it looks like. It's not the prettiest dip in the world. Like I said, it's pretty liquidy now because the hot onions kind of melted everything. But it will come back together in the fridge. Make sure you cover it. Or you could always put this together in a big Tupperware container, so then you just stick the lid on and stick it in the fridge, and then you have it to take with you to your picnic or your potluck or whatever you're going to be doing. Make sure it stays refrigerated. There's dairy in here. Same with your deviled eggs. This is no way this is going to chill fast enough for me. have this like big bag of chips over there, and I'm like, oh, that's what my lunch is tomorrow. I'm not suggesting that you eat chips and dip for lunch, but I have done it before. I just wanted to say thank you again for coming to the picnic episode. I'm really hoping that you make either one of these recipes and you let me know how they turned out. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me either in the group or feel free to PM me or email me. And look forward to next week's episode, which we will see Corey in full splendor grilling. It's going to be really fun. I can't wait to see you guys next week. Thanks.